He thought he was in control. How wrong he was.
Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club.
From the deepest corner of the darkest universe, two brave hosts battle through nameless hordes of ghoulish monsters most foul, all to bring you the eternal glory of the Dark Side Drive-In.
It's the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club.
Good evening, boils and ghouls, and welcome to another horror unearthing, true terror worthing, mysterious pregnancy circumstances birthing episode of the Dark Side Drive-In Intermission. And your hosts, Stefan.
Oh, hey, Dave, I thought you were going to do like one of those like hosts with the most ghost bits.
I only have so many rhymes. I will not be subject to your expectations. And your other host, Shane.
Welcome back from the Bone Zone, Dave.
I'm always in the bone zone because I'm made of bones.
You also, wait a minute. You're made of bones, you collect bones. What else do you do with bones? You build with bones.
I'm actually not allowed to go to natural history museums because I kept taking the bones. The dinosaur bones is what I mean.
Yeah, like a giant brontosaurus bone.
Yes. I was kicked out of the Carnegie Museum of Natural History for this exact thing.
Oh no.
Then I used my necromancer powers to make the bones come to life. It was like that movie Night at the Museum, except sinister and evil, for I am evil.
So wait, were you Ben Stiller then?
No, I wasn't working there, you fool. I was a visitor.
Well, you are forklift certified. I don't know if you're moving stuff around at night on the night shift.
Ben Stiller wasn't working a forklift. Did you even see the movie?
Well, you didn't see the movie.
Well, I can't see anything. I don't have eyes. And I did see it. Dick Van Dyke was in it.
Oh, no.
You know him from Diagnosis Murder. I love it when that Dr. Mark Sloan solves mysteries.
Yeah. 3 people were really excited about that reference.
One of them is probably Dick Van Dyke. If he's still alive. Is he alive?
I don't think.
I think he is. I think he's still out there kicking, possibly dancing as a chimney sweep. I can't believe he's not the first Dick to come up when I searched for it. He is alive.
Shit, he's alive.
And he's almost 100 years old.
Damn. Almost as old as you.
I am thousands of years old and from another dimension. We've established this. My voice is starting to hurt. I think I'm going to leave and let Stefan take over the hosting. I have to go play Black Ops 6. I'm halfway to Prestige.
Ooh, any gold guns yet?
No, I'm still trying to figure out what I like. I haven't focused on one yet. And also, it's hard to win games when you have no eyes. All right, bye.
That's a great point.
I'm leaving now.
Bye.
Okay, he's back. He's back in front of the Xbox playing video games.
Good.
I'm glad he stopped talking. That really hurts his vocal cords that he doesn't have because he's made of bones.
His bone cords.
Bone cords. Well, Shane, do you want to say what it is that we do with this thing, or do I say it in these episodes? I actually can't remember.
I think you say it.
So ordinarily, our mainline episodes, which is about half of our episodes at this point, We talk about a single movie, usually from the 80s, sometimes 90s, sometimes 70s. But then these ones, the intermission, pause for effect, we just kind of do whatever we want. We talk about anything we want. It can be newer movies, it can be games, it can be events. We really don't let anything hold us back. So this time we have a full plate on our plate, a whole big helping of stuffing on our plate. I'm saying that because the next holiday, I guess, is Thanksgiving, unless you count Election Day as a holiday.
Everyone is forgetting about Thanksgiving because I'm seeing Christmas lights everywhere. It's getting nuts.
I feel like Thanksgiving really got like the wind taken out of its sails by Black Friday. It's like really hard to feel good about that holiday when you know that like a ton of people are just going to leave dinner instantly to go engage in like the most heinous version of unbridled capitalistic like fervor. So it's like we're going to sit here pretend like, oh, we're thankful and like life's so good. It's like, and now I'm going to go purchase things.
Now I'm going to go kill someone at Walmart for a $200 television. Yeah. So you're right. I'm usually the one that says the description because you always make fun of me because I talk too much.
No, yeah, and then you wanted me to do it this time for some reason. You're probably trying to keep me on my heels. I don't know why. This is the second time. So like the viewers or listeners, I guess, don't know this, but even before we started, you tried to fake me out with when we started recording.
Yeah, I'm just preparing you. The world's harsh.
Sure. And why not make
we're doing some
one
obituaries today, but there might be some real obituaries after next week.
Oh no, some real obituaries. I mean, think you just mean obituaries?
Yeah, right.
That's what an actual obituary is when...
Sure is.
Yeah, real obituaries aren't actually dead. All right, real upper to begin this episode. Let's keep this momentum.
Sure. You want me to get into the house creeping?
Yes, get into the house creeping.
So, not much has changed. Just kind of business as usual for everybody else. AGB is still streaming. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think last week he did like Thursday, Friday. I can't remember, but he's been playing some Jedi Fallen Order. He's been playing a couple other things. So yeah, check him out on Twitch. Twitch.tv/the_AGB or TTV. Yeah, and then Low-Key Arcade, we're still kind of rocking. We did some horror theme stuff for October. I took a week off last week just to focus on some other projects we're working on, but yeah, pretty excited. We have some good stuff in the pipeline, especially for this show. So stay peeled to everything because I think we're going to have some fun stuff coming up for the end of the year.
Press X to doubt.
Yeah. Press X to pay respects or press F. What is it? Press F.
I think it's press F to pay respects. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. So that's all we have for house creeping.
I guess I can do as part of house creeping, just a real quick shout out to Rebel Revolver for our theme song, which we always bring up at one point or another. I think I'll do it in house creeping this time because I know they have a couple shows coming up in November.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, take a look at their socials, their Facebooks and Instagrams. They have like the upcoming shows listed there. So if you're local to the Pittsburgh area, run, don't walk to your internet to look at where those shows are. And don't run to the shows now unless you're listening to this on the day one of the shows is, because otherwise you'll be days or weeks ahead of when you should be there.
How dare you?
Indeed.
You must listen to all these in order.
No.
You know what? I thought about that the other day.
What?
Because like when we started all this, we're like, yeah, like nothing we do is going to be like in like any sequential order. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's no rhyme or reason to like you could go back and listen to any of our stuff. Like, so if like, for example, our first episode, The Stuff, which was awesome, you could listen to that one first, or you could listen to Maximum Overdrive first, whatever. But what I think it's funny though is, and this is one of my favorite things, like the McCoy brothers ran into is, when they would do the shout outs and people would send them stuff and they would be like months late. So I think it's just funny that you like go back and listen to some of these episodes and like, we're like, hey, if you really want to go see Rebel Revolver and it's like 3 months later, you're listening to this. I don't know. I think it's kind of funny.
Well, that's the other thing, though, is like usually I'll be like, yeah, there's some upcoming shows. Check out their socials. It's like that'll probably always be the case. There's always going to be upcoming shows. You can always check their socials. But yeah, some of the times where I talk about the actual show, like, yeah, that's a little bit more difficult. It's like you're not going to be able to go to those shows like last weekend because time has passed.
But hey,
if you can travel through time, though, congrats.
Well, speaking of time travel.
Oh, I thought you weren't going to talk about that in this episode. Are you going to talk about it?
I thought I was.
No, go for it. You're welcome to do what you want, man.
Oh, yeah. So speaking of time travel, I watched Time Cut.
Hey.
Which was a Netflix horror slasher movie. And I was going to try to maybe do like more time-based killing, but I couldn't get a good like through line with some of the movies because like this one's pretty specific. I don't want to spoil it, but it's definitely a like young adult version of a slasher. So it's like a Netflix, almost like a Goosebumps if it was Goosebumps is rated R. Definitely worth a watch. I thought it was pretty interesting, but the basic premise is there is a serial killer that runs rampant in like the early 2000s, and flash forward 20 years, and there is a girl who is the younger sister of like one of the victims, and she goes back in time to try to mess with the killer and kind of rectify that whole thing. So I can't really say much more because it would spoil the movie, but definitely a pretty interesting concept. There are like the concepts of good kills, but again, because of I think being on Netflix and targeting a younger audience, like I'd say like 15 to 17 was really like where they were trying to hit with this. They don't show a ton of like gore, so which is a bummer, but definitely they set some good stuff up, and there's some really cool scenes. So if you're interested, head to Netflix, check it out. It's called Time Cut. It's pretty good.
Kind of reminds me of that movie that came out last year with what Kiernan Shipka was in it.
Yes.
Totally Killer, right? Because she like travels back further in time, I think, than Time Cut. I think she goes back in time to like the 80s to when her mother was a teenager, and like teams up with her teenage mom to like stop the killer or something like that.
Yeah, very very similar. The twist in this movie, this is probably the most unfortunate thing about this movie, is they tell it like, and again, it's for kids. I think it's for younger kids. Like, I mean, I don't know, not like you get it. It's for like teenagers.
It's like Blippi.
Really. It's that guy's a psycho, but we don't have time for that. Hey, all, if you have children and they watch Blippi, you should look into that guy's history before you go down that path. But anyways, so the plot twist is so telegraphed. It kind of sucks because you like anyone that's going to watch this, you're going to know instantly who the killer is, and it sucks. I'm like, why would they do this? But then when you think about like the target audience, I don't know. I would have gotten it at like 15, but yeah. So are you going to watch this, Stefan?
Yeah, you're really talking it up. I definitely want to watch it now. Like,
no, it's good. I mean, it is a good movie. It's really, there's some pretty funny stuff. And for you and I that were in high school, so like the year's 2003 that she travels back to, and it's really weird how accurate they got everything. So like for you and I, it's like a time capsule, like the clothing everyone's wearing, the music, like things they're doing, and things they're talking about. It's kind of cool.
Playing hacky sack in the lobby of the high school.
Well, no, like, okay, so like
the
scene, you were so cool. The scene, the scene where she's like, and it's in the trailer, like she's walked down the hallway and there's like a bunch of girls in like UGG boots and like those pink, remember the Victoria's Secret pink, like sweatpants outfits?
Yes, I do remember this.
Yeah. It's like, it's straight out of like when we were in high school. So, it's definitely interesting. I think again, they're trying to hit like the weird age gap where like late 90s high school kids that, now their kids are probably like 12 or 13 or 14.
Yeah, the more you talk about it, the more it makes my back hurt. So I don't know that I'm going to actually watch it. I don't need to go down memory lane like that.
I can just spoil it. Do you want me to just spoil it?
No.
All right. good.
Might watch it. You don't know. You don't know me.
Yeah, so that's Time Cut. I'd say like on a like if we were gonna grade it, we'd probably end up like CB territory.
Yeah.
On average.
The golden zone.
Yeah.
All right.
So
are we gonna do the worst thing ever now?
I think it's about that time.
Is it? Yeah, you kind of snuck your Time Cut thing into like house creeping a little bit.
Dude, I couldn't pass.
The transition was just too good.
It was so good, dude. It was so good.
Yeah, you gotta grab it.
You're on fire with these transitions, dude.
You gotta grab it when the opportunity arises.
Seize the day. It's what a Dark Side Dave always tells me when I'm down.
He is really good at giving pep talks despite having no eyes. Yeah. Hey, do you remember the Sega Genesis game Echo the Dolphin?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes.
I was just thinking about that video game because, like, don't you fight like an alien monster at the end?
Yeah, pretty much.
What a weird game.
Like, that's the whole thing. You like get abducted.
Yeah, it's a very strange game. I was just thinking about it.
It's
today.
so good. Yeah, I think there's 2 or 3 of them. I know there's 2 for sure. Yeah, that game is so good. And then when I was younger, like the first area, you like go through all the stuff and do everything, and you're like, what the hell do I do? And then you have to like free willy over a barrier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to jump it.
Yeah, it's so cool. Then there's sharks and stuff, like asshole sharks. Yeah, what a good game.
It is a good game.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about it because I was recently, I jumped back into Maneater.
Okay.
Is the name of it.
Yep.
You remember Maneater? The Shark PG, the Shark RPG?
Yeah.
Narrated by...
that game's a lot of fun.
Chris Parnell, I think, narrates it.
It's a Shark Metroidvania or whatever.
It's more not really Metroidvania. It's kind of like it's RPG like because you level up and you get new skills and abilities, and you also get bigger as you go. So like you start out like in like the bayou, like in a swamp, and then you get bigger and you move on to like a bay and stuff like that. It's super cool. And like there's like a system where the more people you kill, like the more it's like a GTA. Like they start sending more and more serious like enemies after you, like shark hunters and stuff like that. It's really funny.
The only thing I remember from that game, I played it for like an hour. Those giant alligators or crocodile. I think they're alligators. Just kept kicking the shit out of me, and I was like,
Yeah, the first area is kind of tough because you're just a little shark. But now I'm in in like the 4th area now. I think that my next boss is like a killer whale, so it's gonna be a pretty fun battle.
That's awesome. Is it Jawsome?
It is Jawsome because of the jaws. When I play like the expansion, like wherever like you go to like Area 51 and you get like alien powers.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there's like a DLC for it where the shark like goes to Area 51 and gets like alien powers and stuff like that.
Does it grow fucking legs? Like how?
I was wondering about that. It looks like it's flying, so I'm not really sure how that happened. I'm sure they'll explain it in the game.
I'm so interested in this.
Yeah, it's super weird.
Okay, now I see the Echo tie-in.
I don't know why Echo. I was just thinking about Echo because I don't think you fight any dolphins in it, which is kind of good because I guess it'd be a bummer to kill dolphins, but
they might fuck you up.
Well, yeah, I mean, not now. I'm too big now, but
you're too big.
Yeah, when I was a little shark, I definitely could have taken some damage from some dolphins.
Are there any like Jaws references? Like, are there any like like tugboats where there's like an old guy that just talks weird?
Well, okay, yeah. Your nemesis is like a fisherman who's like kind of a Quint type. He like caught your mother and cut her open, and you were in there because sharks can give like live birth. So like your version of your shark drops out. And then this dude like slices into your side and then throws you in the water to die, and you survive. And the whole point of the game is to get strong enough to take this dude down. It's like a revenge story.
That's so cool, dude.
Yeah. Like, yeah, so it kind of, it reminds me of like the Jaws, the revenge, how the shark follows them from like, from the north all the way down to like the Caribbean islands. Like the shark has a vendetta, man.
That's great. But hey, I know another great thing we could talk about.
Oh boy. The check, please.
The Terrible 20.
Emphasis on terrible.
So the Terrible 20 is our 20 question where we try to stump the man, the myth, the legend, Stefan himself. And Stefan, I'm going to get right into this, but I know you have a bunch of questions for me, but I have a question for you.
Oh, go for it. What is it?
Are you ready?
Why, Shane, I'm the readiest I've ever been.
Insert dramatic music.
Dramatic tones.
Chain rattle.
Yeah, chain rattle. Wolf howl. I guess I'll start with maybe a subgenre. Is it a horror comedy?
No.
Is it a slasher?
No.
Think. Are there aliens involved?
No.
Is it an anthology?
No.
Is it a creature feature?
No.
Okay. So off to a good start so far.
Great. You're just nailing it.
Yeah, for sure. We're not getting anywhere with subgenre, so let's go to time period. Is it a post 9/11 movie?
Yes.
Okay. Is it part of a franchise?
Yes.
Okay. Is it within the last 10 years?
Yes.
Are there is it found footage?
No.
Is there any demons involved?
Man, that's a I'm gonna give you a hint on this.
Okay.
I'm gonna say kind of like yes, but no like named like no like Belial, no like no Dybbuk, nothing like that.
Okay.
It's like nothing, no like or like Azazel, like nothing like that.
Okay. Is it part of the Conjuring franchise?
No.
All right, well, I'll just run through my questions so far because I think I just passed 10. I was actually 11. So I said horror comedy, no. Slasher, no. Aliens, no. Anthology, no. Creature feature, no. Post 9/11, yes. Franchise, yes. Last 10 years, yes. Found footage, no. Demons, yes. And then Conjuring, no. So that's where we're at. So it's a franchise, but it's not found footage and it's not part of the Conjuring universe, but still has demons.
So what do you think is a franchise? Let's go back to that for a second.
I don't know. It's like there's more than one entry. It's like a series with multiple entries.
All right, good. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, glad we established that.
I just want to make sure, like, because sometimes I get yelled at, and all our friends ridicule me, and it's tough. It's tough to be me sometimes, folks.
So you're kind of uncertain about the demon thing. Like you were a little bit hesitant about it.
I was.
Are there entries in the franchise from prior to the time period that we were talking about?
Yes.
Did the franchise that it's a part of ever have any movies with Bruce Campbell in it?
No. That's a good guess, though.
I was thinking that it could be the most recent of the Evil Deads.
Evil Dead? Yeah, that's solid. Yeah.
I'm definitely struggling with the franchise element of it.
Yeah, maybe don't get hung up on that so much. This isn't like a Saw franchise, a Conjuring. This isn't like people don't talk about this as like they don't refer to this as this franchise. But like technically it would fall under that category, but it's not. Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely not. No, I have no idea.
Well, like, okay, it's like, oh, the Scream franchise, or like the, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Like, no one refers to this, like, these movies as like a franchise. They don't say like, oh, this franchise. But by definition, like, it technically is.
Is it like part of the Exorcist series?
No, good guess though. That would have been a solid yes on the demons. But to be fair, given my track record, that is a fair question.
Yeah, I really don't actually. I feel like the franchise thing and the demon thing are basically not helpful at this point.
Sure.
I'm sorry, it just doesn't tell me anything. Like.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. So there's a objective statement.
Is it based off of like some kind of source material, like something else, like a book, a video game, something like that?
Yes.
Is it based off of a book by Stephen King?
Yes.
How many is that? 16. Is it Dr. Sleep?
Yes.
Okay.
It's Dr. Sleep, the 2019 thriller horror film.
Directed by Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, look. So I thought you were gonna hone on this faster because I won't stop texting you about this.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, once I started closing in on it, I kind of figured it out.
Yeah, but do you get the demon thing? Because like they're not demons, but like they kind of are. Like the hotel things are kind of demons, right?
They're ghosts.
They're
Yeah, they're ghosts.
Yeah.
They're not demons. They're
Okay.
just
My bad.
really powerful ghosts. But
So then what are the other, like, what are like Rose and what are
The
those
True
people?
Knot?
Are they demon? Yeah.
no, they're like energy vampires,
Okay.
like psychic vampires. They suck the
Sure.
steam that comes out from torturing a child with
Yeah.
this, the Shining. Yeah, they're pretty awful. That baseball kid who they kill, that was such
Oh
an
my
intense
God.
scene. I can't believe that.
It was.
Yeah, that was that was a super dark movie.
I'm telling you, this is gonna like one of my top films, probably top 5. I don't know why I didn't watch this when it came out. I honestly have no reason to, and I even had all of COVID to watch it too. So,
It was slept on, but
You know-
people are really starting to pay. It's like having its moment now. Like people are finally paying attention.
it's so
to it.
good.
Yeah,
It's so good.
the book's very good too. I read the book as well.
So how close to the book is it?
It's pretty close in a lot of ways. There's some things that they changed, and I understand why they changed them, because some of the things about it were just a little bit too coincidental. Like
Sure.
what was it in the book? What's her name? Abra is the name of the girl.
Yep.
Her mother is actually Danny's half sister, so it was like his niece. So they had more of a connection. And in this, they're just like, no,
Sure.
it's just a random kid who was also really strong with like the shine and all that. But a lot of the other stuff is pretty much, 1-to-1, like Rose the Hat, the True Knot, like them killing kids and stuff. Some of the things they changed were like during the times when like Danny was younger, getting his like training from Scatman Crothers. I can't remember his name. But he didn't die in the book, famously,
Right.
because I don't know if Kubrick just needed a body to drop in that movie. For some reason, he decided to kill him. So he was able to just train Danny, and then the movie, they're like, he appears to him as a ghost and uses his like Jedi ghost powers to train him. So, like I said, Mike Flanagan found a way to like allow the book and the film versions to like he did it as both an adaptation of the novel and a sort of sequel to the movie, and he managed to like take that unenviable task and actually make it work out.
Oh, he nailed it.
Yeah, for sure. It was really good.
And like it's a 3-hour movie. So, buckle up. The pacing is great. Like I didn't feel like some of those horror movies are like 3 hours. There's just like so much time of just driving or like unneeded exposition. And the way that they carry this out, I wasn't bored at all. Like, and I know it's kind of dumb, like during a horror movie, why are you bored? But some of those movies get kind of boring. But I loved when they went back to the hotel.
Yeah, that
Oh my God. That was it was so good.
I liked it. It was a little better in the book, the way that it went down.
Okay.
So I don't know if I want to spoil it, but I guess I'm gonna. So he releases the ghosts, and they just start like attacking Rose and stuff like that. And so in the book, like the True Knot, a bunch of them show up at the site of where the hotel was, because remember, it was destroyed at the end of the book.
Yeah.
If you ever read the Shining book, that was a big part of it, was the boiler explodes, destroying the hotel. So they go to the remnants of it. And Danny like opens the boxes where he keeps the ghosts. And like there's one specific one that I can't remember which one it was. It was like some employee of the hotel that was like a big deal in the book. He like specifically is having a great time killing these like psychic vampires. He's like, he releases them and the ghosts are like, hell yeah, we love killing. So they start killing these like True Knot members. It was like really cool how that happened. But it's kind of funny because Danny had these boxes where he kept them, and then the old woman ghost, the really scary one from room 237 or whatever, like he goes to her box and he opens it and she's not there. He's like, well, she got away already. Like, she's already out in the world somewhere. But yeah, and then I guess another change is in the book, Danny doesn't die. He survives the ordeal.
See,
that was a weird change.
I kind of would have liked it better if he would have lived.
Yeah, it was. I guess it did change more from the book than I thought it did. But yeah, Carl Lumbly, who played Dick Halloran, that was his name, the name of Scatman Crothers' character. Like, I think he was a good recasting for that role. He did a really good job.
He did a great job.
But no, yeah, like I said, like Mike Flanagan having to, adapt a novel that is a sequel to another novel, but also, very famously a movie that's beloved by people, even though I've said before my thoughts on Kubrick's The Shining. I think that it isn't as good as people make it out to be, but can't change people's minds on that. They're set. So
no, and I like The Shining, but I'll be honest with you, like when I watch it now, I don't want to say it's boring, but like there are just some, like, again, like there are some parts where you're just like, oh my God, come on. And it could just be because I've seen it so many times. I don't know.
I just felt like the Shining, the thing of the title, takes like a back seat to Jack Nicholson going crazy. It's like, hey man, this whole thing is about this psychic kid and how the ghosts want him. Like, yeah, they don't really give us a lot of that in the movie. I feel like it's kind of takes a back seat. But whatever. I kind of hope they one day redo The Shining, but I feel like after the miniseries from like the mid 2000s, they're probably never gonna try again.
No, I think this did a good job though. It kind of wrapped up a lot of things that were kind of left open. I'd love to see him get a hold of some more Stephen King stuff and maybe try to mess with it. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about Dr. Sleep. That's why I picked it.
I know. Yeah, I remember. Didn't he recently get something else greenlit?
He did. Mike Flanagan.
Oh, Carrie.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he's going to be doing Carrie. And I'm really hoping that he does a more book accurate version of it than the two we got. Well, so we had the initial version with Sissy Spacek, who really didn't fit how Carrie was portrayed or like how she was described in the book. And then there was the Chloe Grace Moretz one, which was more of a remake of the first movie than another adaptation of Carrie. So I'm hoping he actually like pays attention to the source material.
So he also got an Exorcist movie greenlit.
Really? I thought there was already
26. A
couple of Exorcist movies that were being made.
There's an untitled Exorcist film that Blumhouse, it's going to hit Friday the 13th. So March 13th, 2026.
Ooh.
And he's tied as the director. That's going to be sick.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. The only other thing I'm more excited about is Nosferatu.
And that's this year, baby.
So I know.
Well, speaking of movies, do you want to move on to our next segment where I can scold you?
It was a mistake.
So we want to talk about the 31 for 31 finale.
Finale.
Yeah. So Shane, how many movies did you get through?
Not enough.
Not enough.
So, I added Time Cut, which we talked about. Dr. Sleep, I missed the cutoff by a couple of days. I've got I guess, do like creepy television shows count? They probably don't. My wife and I got hooked on Society or The Society, and man, is that a good show. If any of you haven't seen it, go to Netflix, watch it right now. It's pretty sad because it released in 2019, and then in I think they started filming early 2020, and COVID hit, so they pulled the plug. And then I was telling Stephanie before the show, the director actually hired a company to make a graphic novel, and then they went under during COVID as well. So it's kind of cursed, but
Cursed.
definitely watch it, because the more people that watch it, I think Netflix will bring it back, because there's a lot of people online. And again, same with Dr. Sleep. For some reason, this is getting like a resurgence right now. Like people are like kind of going on about it in the last like 2 months. So definitely give it a look. It's really cool. It's kind of like the basic premise is these kids are supposed to go on a trip, and then something happens. They have to come back to town. The bus driver drops them off. They get off the bus and like no one's there, and they can't leave the town. They're stuck there. It's pretty cool.
What's it called again?
So yeah, The Society.
Oh, we live in a society.
Yeah, we do.
All right. Well, I did complete my assignment. Do you want me to go into mine? I think we ended last time with me mentioning the houses that October built, and then now I think I have like a week and a half worth that I can run through.
Yeah.
All right. So on the 22nd, I did The Wolf of Snow Hollow from 2020. It's a pretty fun little small town werewolf mystery movie. An alcoholic sheriff who's kind of bad at his job, trying to live up to. He's a alcoholic sheriff's deputy who his ailing and aging father is the sheriff, and he feels like he can't quite live up to his father's legacy and stuff like that, which helps drive his alcoholism. And then suddenly there's a series of murders that seem to be committed by a werewolf. I won't spoil the twist, but it has a pretty interesting twist that if you're a werewolf purist, you might not like it, but it was kind of funny.
Was it naturally occurring?
It was.
I'll
go that far. I'll tell you that. Then the 23rd, I did X, 2022, the Ty West movie, the part of like, I guess they call it the X trilogy that consists of like, X, Pearl, and
with Vin
Maxine. Diesel. Yes, Triple X. Yes, State of the Union with Ice Cube. No, yeah. So the first one, actually, out of the others, like I haven't seen Maxine yet. I've heard not so good things. I do like Pearl. I think that was a good one, but X to me is my favorite out of the series so far. It's just such a fun little like throwback to like a 70s style like exploitation, slasher movie. Really cool performances from everybody, especially Mia Goth and Jenna Ortega. Mia Goth doing double duty as both Pearl, the old lady Pearl, and then also as Maxine. So pretty good movie. I think it's on Netflix too, so it's like really easy to watch right now. 24, I had 976 Evil. So we already have an entire episode out about that. You don't have to hear me talk about it here. 25th, I did Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Nice. More of a black comedy than a horror movie. It's just kind of a funny little send up of like Gen Z and stuff like that. Has some, it basically devolved like when it seems like someone's been murdered, they start like suspecting each other and like making stupid decisions as you do in a situation where it seems like you might be being stalked by a killer or the one of you is a killer. It's pretty crazy. The 26th, I actually went back and rewatched Friday the 13th, the final chapter, the Joseph Zito one, our man from The Prowler. I think it was one of our S tier ranked ones.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go back to that. It was a comfort watch.
And for people that don't, what's the number on that?
Final chapter is number 4.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely not the final chapter. On the 27th, I did Nightmare Cinema from 2018. It's a horror anthology. Some horror greats directed segments in it. Mick Garris, Joe Dante. Not every segment is a winner. They never are in like horror anthologies, but that one has a couple that really stand out. So definitely recommend it. And there's like 5 segments too. So nothing like overstays its welcome. If you don't like one, it'll be gone soon enough. On the 28th, I did the WNUF Halloween special from 2013. It's like an analog horror movie done in the style of like a 1987 news broadcast. So it's like grainy footage. Awesome. They have fake commercials that they put in there and stuff like that. My first time watching it, I actually didn't have the patience. I didn't really get what it was going for. This time around, though, I loved it. It was so good. It's super fun. I don't know where I watched that. I think it was on Shudder. So yeah, if you have Shudder, check it out. And then my final 3, I tried to get bangers, and I think I did across the board. On the 29th, I did Azrael from this year. It's a new one. It's about a future where like the rapture has happened, and like the people who are left behind, are part of like this like silent cult that believe that like speech is part of like the downfall of mankind. So they like cut their own vocal cords out. And also there's like these like burned creatures that stalk the earth that like drink blood and eat flesh. And Samara Weaving plays a woman who is trying to run from the cult with her boyfriend or husband or something. But they get recaptured, and she is supposed to be sacrificed to one of those creatures, but she escapes and then has to try to get back to the encampment, get her boyfriend, and get out. So pretty interesting movie. It might be a little high concept, and it gets a little frustrating because no one talks, but still good. 30th, I did it was Halloween Eve that I watched Gonjiam Haunted Asylum from 2018. Very reminiscent of a movie that I know you love, Grave Encounters. But basically, it's a Korean movie about this like group of like YouTubers. Like they have an online series, and they are going to this the haunted asylum Gonjiam to start like doing an investigation. They essentially like a few of the scares that are ones they set up, so they were faked. But then stuff starts going downhill from there when the real ghosts don't take kindly to having fake scares. Real scary. I was terrified by it.
Man, this looks wild.
Yeah, I'm not too proud to admit that I was like, I better check my phone during some parts of it.
I'm putting this on my list right now.
Yeah, it's on Tubi. Do it for sure. And yeah, there was like, I remember that in the beginning, I was kind of frustrated by it because you know how like found footage movies usually start is just everyone's talking over each other. You don't know who's who. And it's even worse when it's in Korean and like I'm trying to keep up with subtitles on top of trying to keep up with who everybody is. But like once all the pieces get in place and they get to that asylum, man, things start to cook and it is good.
Is it dubbed or is it subbed?
The version I watched on Tubi was subtitled. So I don't know if there's a dubbed version out there. I didn't look. Then finally, the one I watched on Halloween was I actually had to rent it because it's brand new. It's called Frankie Frico, which is from the writer-director Steven Kostansky, who I've talked about his movies before, like The Void and Psycho Goreman. So I love his stuff. It's a movie that he said was very much inspired by Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College. So,
cool.
Yes. So it's definitely like he has like practical puppet effects and stuff like that, like actual puppets that he created for this. I will say that like at the start, like maybe the first half, I was like, I don't know, man, like I get the joke, but I'm just not sure that like you're really selling it. But then like once the square dude who like accidentally summons Frankie Frico and his pals, once he gets like in on the bit, it starts to get really funny. Like at one point they like, it turns out Frankie Frico and his people are from like another dimension or something like that, where it's now ruled by an iron fist by this evil guy named Munch, who sends out these like Terminator robots, but they're like also puppets and they're about like 2 feet tall. So like they break into his house, try to attack them and kidnap Frankie Frico and his gang. It's it's definitely like if those like creepy little guys or whatever McMurray called those things, if you are a fan of those movies, this one is it. It's like a modern version of that concept. And it has like the same benefits and disadvantages. Like it does try to do bits like jokes constantly. Sometimes they land, sometimes they don't land. But I just love how it is like truly a loving homage to like that style of movie. Yeah, there's it's pretty funny. I recommend it. Hopefully it'll come to Shudder or something soon. And then people can watch it. I don't know if I could recommend renting it because it is really weird. So like if you think it's the kind of thing you'd like, I would say do it. But if you're like if like that kind of loving, goofy, silly puppet movie and you're like kind of rolling your eyes at hearing me say those words, like, yeah, this isn't going to win you over. It's not like a fresh take on that concept. It's just a recreation. I feel like
there's a lot of those here, man. I think you're in a safe space.
I don't know. Some horror fans though can be really like sticklers. Like this didn't scare me at all. I don't know how many times I've been like on like TikTok or something. I look in the comments and they're like, this movie wasn't scary at all. So boring. Worst movie I've ever seen. It's like, the worst movie you've ever seen? Long Legs is the worst movie you've ever seen? Like, I'm just going to tell you right now that you need to watch more movies. Like, no, that's what I mean. Like
Death Ship.
No, that's the problem. It's like these people are like so hyperbolic. It's like they're parodies of themselves. They're fools. They're foolish fools.
Foolish fools. It's a good Snorks callback reference. So if we don't wield a lot of like internet power yet, maybe.
No.
But like friends, if you could, when you see people make comments like that, instead of calling them foolish fools on the internet, just put death ship in there. Just say death ship.
Just comment death ship.
Yeah, or some of our esteemed friends go on to the Flophouse and people complain on there a lot. Just say death ship and let that marinate. Or put a link to our show because hey, I love free advertising, but yeah, just say death ship. I think that will do enough damage to their psyche as a person, or they'll love it and you'll know never to talk to them or interact with them again. Just block them.
Never speak to me or my son again.
Oh, I love death ship. It's like, oh, gone.
Yep. Blocked.
They probably hate Tremors.
Oh no.
Yeah, the worst.
Speaking of whatever you just said, do you have anything else you want to talk about for the 31 for 31?
So one of them, I don't remember if I said this last time, but I watched a short called Mr. Sandman. It's on YouTube. The director and creator of that short film actually reached out to us and wants to come on the show, which is super cool. So we got to schedule that. So that'll be coming. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it'd probably be an intermission episode. I don't know how we would incorporate stuff, but pretty excited about that, honestly. Seems like a pretty cool dude. So, yeah, check it out, Mr. Sandman. Just YouTube Mr. Sandman, like video. Yeah, it's cool.
Very cool. Yeah, we'll see. Scheduling is always difficult with these kinds of things, but yeah, hopefully we can get that sorted out here in the coming weeks and have more to say about it.
Yeah, well, it's just tough because of the holiday. That's kind of more of the issue.
Oh yeah.
So.
All right. Well, You ready for me to talk about my bit of the evening? The bit I created.
I can't wait, and I'm so embarrassed I did this.
I have created a bit called Maury Povich Says You Are Not the Father.
You are not the father.
So there have been a series of movies that came out this year that are basically about someone who is mysteriously becomes with child. And is it Satan's baby? Maybe. Maybe. I'll never tell. So there's I basically So I went through 3 of these movies. 2 of them get talked about together all the time. The one doesn't, and I'm wondering if people just didn't watch it. So the 3 movies that I watched for this segment are Immaculate, The First Omen, and Apartment 7A. Now, Shane, when I said, "Hey, here are the movies I'm going to watch for this," what did you tell me about The First Omen?
I literally said I saw The First Omen.
I was like, no, you saw The Omen.
I saw The Omen, but I thought, I'm like, yeah, I've seen The First Omen. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
ooh.
Who hasn't seen The First Omen?
Yeah, so
you're like, no, dude. No. Like, that would have been a moment where quotation marks would have probably helped me, but
I capitalized it in the text. It said
you sure did. I don't know. I just thought you were being cool.
No, I'm not. The First Omen is a separate movie. Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons I think that these movies have come up. I've seen like online discourse about how like the overturning of Roe v. Wade has made it so that they want to explore this idea of like bodily autonomy and like wanted or unwanted children coming into the world and stuff like that. Spoiler alert, they do not want these kids because they're evil. Shane, they're evil ones.
Are they 976 evil?
That quite a bit, yeah. Except no. So people have been talking about how Immaculate and The First Omen are very similar conceptually. And I was like, on a certain level they are, but I think that there's actually enough like from how they are shot, like the First Omen's like relationship with its series and stuff like that. I think there's so much that differentiates it. The only things they really have in common are an American nun goes to Italy and then pregnancy happens.
Solid.
Everything else about their situations are very different. So Immaculate, I think I've talked about it before because I did it as part of my 31 for 31. That's the one that was a project that Sydney Sweeney was working to get off the ground. She apparently it was like in production earlier and she was slated to star in it. But then it kind of crashed and burned as like productions do sometimes. But then she wanted to get it made. So, she's kind of rose to prominence lately. So used some of that power to get this movie made. So it's directed by Michael Mohan. As a screenwriter is Andrew Lobel. Sydney Sweeney plays Sister Cecilia, who's the American who comes to this kind of remote Italian like convent. Most of the other actors, I didn't really recognize them. They're Italian and actors. Alvaro Morte is Father Sal Tedeschi. Simona Tabasco as Sister Mary. Benedetta Porcaroli as Sister Gwen. Giorgio Colangeli as Cardinal Franco Morella. Dora Romano as the Mother Superior. So basically, the high-level premise of Immaculate is this nun, played by Sydney Sweeney, finds that she is mysteriously with child. And everyone in the convent, the priests and the nuns and stuff, instead of being like, hey, you've been dipping out on your vows, novice nun, they're just like, this is a miracle. This is an immaculate conception. Praise the Lord. They just buy into this thing. Then I don't know if I really want to spoil it, but there's a reason why they're so psyched about it. I got to tell you, the twist of this movie, like what it is that's happening, I did not see it coming at all. Like what a bonkers twist. And I kind of want to say it because it's so bananas, go nuts. So yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled for like what's happening in this movie, I guess like skip ahead a couple times or put on your earmuffs right now. So basically, the one priest, Tedeschi, he was some kind of like geneticist, and they found a nail that supposedly belonged to Jesus, like a nail from the cross. And he said there was DNA on it, and they've been trying to get a nun to carry a cloned baby Jesus to be the new savior of the earth, like the new Messiah.
Solid.
And they have a basement lab where there's all these like deformed like baby creatures in these like formaldehyde jars. So like they basically made her like carry this like fake baby Jesus in her.
So who'd the nail belong to?
They think it was Jesus's.
Well, they were definitely wrong.
They believe it's Jesus's. I don't know what to tell you, man. They never tell us whose it is. The baby isn't a Messiah. I'll tell you that.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like given the outcome.
Yeah, no, those babies come out all messed up. And also the DNA would be degraded. The science doesn't check out. But the really cool thing about the movie is like it's kind of a real slow burn. It's very atmospheric. There's some scenes of like horrifying things too that like Cecilia witnesses, and like obviously she tries to make her escape when she realizes what they're doing, but she's like unable to do it, and then she gets like kind of tortured and she's being held like hostage and stuff like that, and has to go through like these extreme measures to get away. There's a part where like she's like supposedly about to give birth, and like all of the nuns and priests are all around her and stuff like that, and the cardinal is there, and she like grabs one of the scalpels they're going to use to like do this C-section and just like stabs him in the throat. I was like, man, I didn't expect to see some pregnant lady just shank a cardinal in the front of everybody. And everyone's like, no, why? It's like, what do you mean, why? She's being held down and forced to give birth to like your monster baby here. She's pissed. So that was really cool. And I've never been a big Sydney Sweeney fan. I don't really see the hype over her. Well, I get it. I understand like the male gaze of it all. But like,
do you?
Yes, I do understand. But I've just never really like, I saw that comedy that she did with like Glenn Powell. I just didn't really I didn't get it. Like, I don't really see the appeal, but she's really good in this. She kind of like buoys the movie on her performance, which is interesting because like she does have that like kind of doe-eyed, like, fish out of water in this Italian, like she doesn't speak Italian very well and stuff like that. So she's just kind of like this, like out of place presence and is suddenly like thrust into these crazy events that are happening around her. And like the conspiracy unravels as time goes on. She does a good job selling it. I really appreciated it, the performance. So I think she should stick to horror as the comedy.
Well,
she was
apparently
in
that's what
funny.
she's into. So
Yeah, apparently, like, cool, good on her. Because yeah, she does. She sells it in this. Like, honestly, there's so much about like the entire storyline is kind of BS. Like, I'm like, this is ridiculous, but they kind of sell it on her performance, and I think that she does a good job. So I definitely recommend it. So yeah, check it out. I think it's on Hulu is where I watched it, so it's out there now. You can watch it. It's pretty intense. There's a couple of really messed up scenes, like of people being like brutally tortured and stuff like that. It's can be a little bit rough, but most of it's kind of a slower burn. So it's not gonna be like jump scares really in it. Which I can't say the same for the next movie.
Hey, so if we don't wield a lot of internet power, at least yet. But if you
said this already,
if you all could figure out how to get Sydney Sweeney on the podcast, that'd be pretty solid. So next to Death Ship, put comma Sydney Sweeney go on an interview, but don't put any other context.
Yeah.
It'll work.
I think I'll wait till she has more of a body of work horror oriented. I don't think we can just talk about Immaculate. I mean, it's a good movie, but I don't know how much there is to talk about. Is this just some kind of thirst trap over here?
You said body of work. Come on.
Oh, get out of here.
Hey, at least you're not the father, right?
And Maury Povich says, you are not the father.
You are not!
I love that.
Yeah. Speaking of not the father. And I will say one thing. Immaculate is not a period piece, but it's kind of in a remote convent. So it seems like it is, but there is the use of a cell phone at one point. So it definitely wasn't a period piece. Cannot say the same for The First Omen. It is The First Omen, Shane, not The First Omen with Gregory Peck.
Okay, like you could understand how one could be confused about this.
Yes, I can.
A little bit.
If I hadn't capitalized it and put it in, like capitalized the T and the F in first, so it's very much.
And it was in the
movie.
middle.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like you didn't start with like, hey, The First Omen. Then there's other things. It was like Immaculate, The First Omen.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So The First Omen is a period piece. It takes place in like 1971. Right before when the actual First Omen picked up, I think, like shortly before that. The director is actually a female director, Arkasha Stevenson. There was a lot of writers on it, including Arkasha Stevenson, Tim Smith, Keith Thomas. The cast is actually pretty extensive too. Nell Tiger Free plays Margaret, the main character. Ralph Ineson plays Father Brennan. Sonia Braga plays Sister Silva. Tawfiq Perham plays Father Gabriel. Maria Caballero plays Luz. Charles Dance plays Father Harris. That does not get nearly enough screen time. But then you have Bill Nee, who plays Cardinal Lawrence. He gets a ton of screen time, which is good because he rules. Carlita Siana is played by Nicole Soares. And then Ishtar Curry Wilson plays Sister Angelica. And there's a guy named Paulo, Andrea Arcangeli. He gets a pretty rough time of it. I won't get into it, but he dies. I thought it was pretty funny because so Ralph Ineson, Charles Dance, and Bill Nee are all like actors of a certain age with very distinct voices. I think it's funny to have all of them in one movie together. But yeah, so The First Omen is essentially you get Margaret. She's like a novice nun who travels to Italy, specifically to Rome in this case. I think that she was summoned because they wanted her to help take care of like the kids at this like orphanage. Because it seemed like she like was raised there and was returning from America where she had been living. But yeah, it's essentially it comes to be that there's like this whole crazy setup. She is basically going to be used to sire the Antichrist, because she is somehow secretly also a child of Satan. And apparently the only way that he can have a son is to have a kid with one of his children. It's like, sure, why not? That checks out. Why not?
Sure.
And apparently the whole thing is actually a setup from the Catholic Church. They want to, they're worried about how people are losing faith in the religious institutions. So in order to drive people back to the church, they want to make it so the Antichrist rises, but make sure that they can control him in order to, keep him from getting too powerful, but to frighten people enough that they come back to religion. Which, yeah, no holes in that plan. Like, that seems like a totally sound plan. There's a lot of supernatural nonsense going around during this. There's some like scenes of Margaret having like these crazy hallucinations, and some of them are pretty intense. There's one in particular that I was just like, I can't believe what I'm looking at right now. Like, it was bananas. The one thing that I really appreciated about this movie is that it is a period piece, like I said, and it is grounded in like an actual series of like protests that were erupting around Rome that had started in like 1969 and were still ongoing to that point. So there's a number of like historical elements to it, but it really felt like a 70s movie in a lot of ways, because like there's like these long establishing shots with like kind of soothing like music that kind of remind me of 70s like Italian movies specifically, like get Fellini up in here. And then, yeah, and like I said, just the storyline with like this nun who's like caught up in this crazy conspiracy, starts to find out that the church is basically making her give birth to the devil's son. And then there's like this whole conspiracy about how like they've been trying to do this for a really long time, which is very similar to Immaculate. They have like a bunch of like files on like these deformed babies that were born, and stuff like that. But yeah, there's some like really intense scenes of like supernatural goings-ons in it that is pretty cool.
Cool.
So yeah, The First Omen, I think, and it kind of dovetails nicely with like the opening, like the origin of Damien, how he gets to a family who's, who their child was stillborn, I think, in the original The Omen. And this is like their adoptive child that they're like Americans who are working at the U.S. Embassy in Rome. And then that's when they go home. There is like an obligatory "it's all for you" kind of scene for like from the first movie. Only this one, she like one up it, like Sister Angelica like self-immolates and then jumps off the thing to hang herself. Like, she's already dead. Like, but yeah. So there's like that kind of obligatory callback scene. But for the most part, it keeps things pretty fresh and it moves at a pretty decent pace. It is a little long. I think it's just north of 2 hours. But I think that that's kind of necessary to like keep the story from like being too breakneck. Because there are a lot of like long scenes of just stuff happening. And it does retcon some things from the original The Omen, but it could be just that the church was covering it up and they lied about certain things. And then it kind of opens itself up to a sequel, because I don't want to get into it, but, the nun survives and there's another individual that is with her that could change the outcome of like the Omen story as we know it. So they could like branch off into a separate path if they wanted to.
So like, where does this rank in terms of like other Omen movies?
I mean, it's kind of hard to touch the first one, the actual first Omen, The Omen.
Sure.
But I wasn't actually a fan of many of the sequels. So I actually probably would rank this one on the level of the actual initial Omen film. I think it's really well thought out. It's really smart. It's it's just a solid movie. I'm kind of surprised that it was as good as it was, because like a legacy, like a legacy prequel movie they tend to kind of phone those in a little bit. Speaking of phoning things in, do you want me to move on to my third and final movie?
As long as you're not the father.
Maury Povich says, "You are not the father."
You are not the father.
I remember when I used to watch Maury in college because it was on TV in the day. So after the first class, just turn on Maury and watch the circus go on. So apartment 7A, you might not be able to tell from the title necessarily unless you're really familiar with Rosemary's Baby. But apartment 7A is a prequel of sorts to Rosemary's Baby. The writer-director, Natalie Erica James, some other co-writers, Christian White, Skylar James. Stars, it's got a pretty good cast. Julia Garner plays Terry Ginofrio, who's like most of these characters are actually characters in Rosemary's Baby too. Like obviously played by different actors because many of them are old or dead by now because that was like in 1968 that movie came out. So yeah, Julia Garner is like pretty famous for like her role in The Ozarks. She's like that blonde lady that like works for them. Then there's Diane Wiest plays Minnie Castevet. Kevin McNally plays Roman Castevet. Jim Sturgis is Alan Marchand. Marley Sue is Annie Ling, who's Terry's friend. Rosie McEwen is Vera Clark. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else who really stands out. Andrew Buchan as Leo Watts. And then I guess Tina Gray is Mrs. Gardenia, who's the previous resident of 7E, which you may know that as being where Rosemary and her husband end up moving. 7A is actually the Castevet apartment, which is why there's like a separate, the apartment that Terry lives in is like an extension of theirs kind of that they also have access to. So basically
like a conjoined room kind of thing.
Sort of, it was like walled off, but yeah.
Cool.
So our main character, Terry, she's a dancer and she gets this reputation to be known as the girl who fell because during a performance on stage, she actually lands on her ankle wrong and like breaks it. It's a pretty gnarly scene. Then she has trouble walking and it's like a long road of recovery and she can no longer get roles as a dancer because, she's injured. And then she's having trouble paying the rent. Her friends are angry with her. And then eventually she runs into the Castevets who say, hey, you know what? You're down on your luck. Why don't you come and live in this apartment that we have that's like one of ours, like the girl who was living here left. And it's like, oh, this is almost too good to be true, right? Yeah, you're right. It is. You shouldn't have done that. So basically, she ends up, I think, like, what is it? Alan Marchand is like one of the guys who lives in the building, and he's part of the cult that they're all in, but he's also like a Broadway producer and stuff like that. And it seems like Terry has like a romantic dalliance with him. Then she slowly comes to realize through some really interesting sequences that wasn't him that she slept with. It was the devil. So
it was Satan.
There's actually kind of a cool scene because like the way they play it up, like her uncovering those memories is like in a coordinated dance number around her while she's laying down and stuff like that. There's some pretty bonkers like moments throughout. Some of the jump scares are a little bit cheap and cheesy, but she eventually like finds that she's pregnant. Obviously, the Castevets send her to the same doctor they send Rosemary to, which is Saperstein, if you remember from the original Rosemary's Baby. So there's a lot of connections here. Basically, it is that she was supposed to be the one who would give birth to their Lord. And then eventually, she finds out that she tries to go to like a back alley abortion provider, but like the doctor's unable to do it. Like forces happen that prevent the baby from being aborted and stuff like that. So it's actually like clearly some supernatural stuff at play. She like goes to a church at one point in order to, pray and get guidance, and her stomach hurts the entire time because the baby is like, I can't be here.
It's like twisting. It's like, no. Yeah.
And so there's some pretty cool scenes. Like I think that this one's probably a little more harshly received than it deserves. I think it had like a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's a little better than that. There are some like jump scares of like random stuff happening that feel a little bit cheap. And it is kind of like a movie that no one asked for, but I think it just kind of plays up on that whole, these like the Castevets were working on this for a while. And there wasn't like a lot of context given for why Terry killed herself in the original movie. Like, we really didn't know what was going on with her, and this is kind of like, this is what was going on with her. And kind of a spoiler, but like, if you'd seen Rosemary's Baby, you know that Terry jumps out a window and kills herself. And this is why she was pregnant with Satan's kid, and she wasn't psyched about it.
Understandable.
Yeah. Kevin McNally and Diane Wiest as the Castavets, so good. They're very intense. Like, they play their roles really well. Like, going from like doddering, kindly old people to like sinister. Most of the other cast, though, like other than Julia Garner, who she's playing Terry, she has to carry a lot of the movie. I don't know that she has necessarily the chops to do that, but she does a good job. It's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I will say that there's a dance scene towards the end where she is dancing to Be My Baby, which is a pretty intense and kind of crazy scene. I think the only problem is, like, unlike the first Omen, which it was a period piece and felt like it, this one doesn't really feel like it's taking place in like the mid 60s. I think it's supposed to be 1965 is when it was taking place. Like, it kind of felt a little too sleek, a little too modern. So that's my only real gripe with it. But other than that, it was still a solid movie. Like, I could recommend it. There's a couple of instances where you see like a devil man and he's like kind of silly looking CGI'd, but that's fine. He only shows up like twice.
Devil man.
Devil man. Yeah, so there you go. Those are the 3 movies that I did for Maury Povich Says You Are Not the Father.
You are not.
Solid segment.
There you go. Yeah, those are my 3 like mysterious pregnancy movies that nothing is what it seems. I kind of wish Immaculate had been like a devil baby though, instead of being like a Jesus clone, which is a little too weird, but that's fine.
So like, and none of these movies have like high. I checked the ratings. Like, I just don't understand why people don't like these movies. Especially the last one. Sorry, the name just like literally just left my
Apartment 7A.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Apartment 7A. I don't understand why people don't like these like demon, like, I don't say baby movies. Do you think it's just like you were saying, like, do you think it's just too, the subject matter is just too raw right now? Like, cause they don't look like bad movies.
Apartment 7A is the worst received of the 3. Actually the first Omen had very high ratings. It was very well received. Immaculate was a little more split. It was kind of like what I was saying. Like, people all agreed that Sydney
like
Sweeney did a good job of like holding that movie together, but that the movie itself was kind of like tropey, a little slow, all these things. But no, the first Omen was actually very well received. And I when I first was like looking into it, I was like, I don't know. But then once I watched it, I was like, yeah, I can see why people like it.
Yeah. I think these IMDb ratings are tough because like 5.8, 6, it was like a 6.5 or something. Like that's tough.
Those are like user ratings though, aren't they?
Yeah, but I don't
trust
critics.
Oh, really? Okay, we went the opposite way. I trust critics. I don't trust users. Because people tend to rate
I'm so burned
movies
by the video game journalists, dude. It's so hard for me to. I know we don't have time to go into that whole shit show, but
okay. Well, I think I was talking about that problem earlier. Users tend to be flighty and stupid and hyperbolic.
Sure.
They're like, "Oh man, 1 star, worst movie ever." It's like, 1 star. You sure about that?
You're right. Sure about
that?
Sure about that. It did good on Rotten Tomatoes. Had like an 83. So
yeah, but Rotten Tomatoes is kind of a weird aggregator too, because it's like it's like a positive or negative, and it's based off of a kind of weird threshold. But no, I think the first Omen was well received, and I think it deserves to be. I definitely recommend it.
Good.
So yeah, First Omen and Immaculate, ironically, both are on Hulu, which is funny that they're both on there. Apartment 7A is like a Paramount Plus exclusive, so it's a little harder to get your hands on. I recommend all of them. I think they're all interesting movies. They all did a little bit different stuff. I think that Apartment 7A is the weaker one. It just kind of begged the question of its own existence. But like, not to spoil how it ends, other than Rosemary's Baby did. But I just thought it was funny they kept calling her the girl who fell. Is like, we know how this ends for her. But the way that it does end though is like super funny, because I don't know, I don't want to talk about it. But it's like just like the scene, that final scene is like almost enough to justify the existence of the whole movie, because she's like selling this whole thing. And at first everyone's like, oh man, she's really psyched about being a mother to Satan's kid. And then, nope, she's not psyched about it.
So psyched.
So psyched. But there you go. Maury Povich says you are not the father. And I think we have one last segment here and we'll get out of here.
The least favorite segment.
But
needs to happen.
Yeah, it's a devastating thing to have to do, but we do have to go into some tubituaries. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, there's a lot leaving. I'm hoping that a lot of them look like they're part of what is it, the Charles Band production service. It looks like a lot of them are coming from Full Moon Features. So I'm hoping that it's just like a negotiation thing, like they'll pop back on. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through a handful of them. I will say right now, I mentioned before, I think that Night of the Creeps literally showed up for like less than a month on Tubi and it was already gone. It's gone. It never came back. I'm so mad. Why will they do this to me? Tom Atkins. So yeah, Night of the Creeps is gone. It's truly a bane to all of us. Some of the ones that are leaving soon, Pumpkinhead, Ashes to Ashes, Curse of the Demon, Children of the Night, which is like an actually kind of interesting vampire movie. So I'd recommend that if you have the chance. Brain Scan. Okay. Oh no, Shane, 976 Evil.
And we got that in there just
we got
in time.
right in there, yeah. The Fog remake, The Devil's Rock, Pumpkinhead 4, what is that, Blood Feud? Yeah, not Blood Wings. Blood Wings is a different one. Creepazoids. Creepazoids is actually leaving in one day. Like, that one came out of nowhere. I like Creepazoids. Zombie Strippers, so no one's really going to be that upset about that. Demonic Toys, Warlords of Atlantis, Happy Birthday to Me, the Vampires Los Muertos, which is like one of the sequels to John Carpenter's Vampires.
That's the one with Bon Jovi.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Wow. I guess he better hold on to what he's got. Dollman, Ooga Booga, which I'm not gonna miss Ooga Booga. It looks problematic to say the least. Look at what Ooga Booga looks like.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Spelled like you think?
Spelled exactly like that. Ooga Booga.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well.
Yep. Damn. There you go. That looks problematic as hell.
That's pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
Can't leave. Oh, that's like newer.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's one of the ones from Full Moon Features. Moving down the list so we don't sit on this Ooga Booga thing any longer because I feel like we might be charged with a hate crime for lingering on it. The Blob, the original. I guess the original and the remake can't be on the same service for too long. Blood Dolls.
Too much Blob.
Yeah. Oh, The Mist. No. Stephen King. No. The Snoop Dogg horror movie Bones is leaving.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's devastating. I don't know. I think it looks like most of these other ones are now kind of Earth versus the Flying Saucers, an older one. Yeah, and I'm starting to get repeats. I never understood why they like do repeats on these things. But yeah, so not a lot of like horror things. Oh, It Came From Beneath the Sea. No, that's a good one. That's devastating. But yeah, it doesn't look like Frankenfish. That's a rough one. The Last Exorcism. You know they made a Last Exorcism 2? It's like, well, then what was the point of that Last Exorcism?
It's like The Last Exorcism. No, we mean it this time.
Yeah, but no, for real though. Dawn of the Dragon Slayer. More fantasy, not horror, but still. Yeah, so I'm not really seeing a lot of other ones that are standing out to me. I'm sure there's others. It's just the way that it shows them to me on my app are always kind of like all out of whack. Yeah, so that Children of the Night is like an interesting vampire movie. It's kind of a bummer to see that one go. And Creepazoids I liked a lot too. I was actually hoping we could do Creepazoids for the podcast sometime, but I'm sure there's other ways to watch it, and they might come back because it is, like I said,
it'll come back. Yeah,
it is like one of those what do you call it? One of those full moon ones. So I'm imagining this is probably just like a negotiation thing between them. Oh no, Vampire Bats with Lucy Lawless. It's leaving.
No.
Yeah, the Beast from the Bering Sea is leaving. Yeah, okay, that's all I'll cover for now. But yeah.
Not the Beast.
No, not the Beast. Yeah, so some stuff's leaving. It could be worse, but I'm hoping some of these things come back. So there you go. Tubituaries. Play the funeral dirge for them as they go to another streaming service, maybe.
We can only hope.
All right. Well,
Except for Ooga Booga, get the fuck out
No,
of here.
Ooga Booga
Don't come
can
back.
stay away. Yeah, that's yeah. Like I said, I feel like it's a hate crime to have just looked at it. All right, so I think that's all I had. I'm not sure if you had anything else you wanted to bring up.
No, I think we nailed it. Again, thanks everybody. The support means a lot. We do this for fun, and like all the comments, all the kind words, jokes, and stuff, it means a lot. So keep it coming. We'd love to hear from you all. If you have any suggestions or anything you want us to talk about, let us know. These intermission episodes are perfect for things that kind of fall outside of our mainline scope of like 80s and 90s and sometimes 70s movies. But yeah, I think that's all I had today, Stefan.
All right, cool. Let me see if Darkside Dave is ready to play us out here. Oh, he was right behind me. He must have heard that it was almost time for it to be over. All right, I'm going to give him room here. All right, there you go. Dave, take it away.
Excellent! It is finally time for me to do the outro, so then I can go back to poning noobs in Call of Duty. In my realm, we don't have automatic weapons. You humans here have a knack for warfare. But anyway, I digress. This has been the Darkside Drive-In Intermission. Grab yourself a Nestle's Bunch of Crunch from the snack bar. Grab yourself some Mikes and Ikes. Perhaps even a hot dog if you're feeling like you can trust the hot food at the snack bar and the drive-in. It could be to die for.
Probably.
Once again, your hosts are Stefan.
Hey, thanks, Darkside Dave. I appreciate you doing these outros for us.
It's not free. I demand payment in Venbones. It's Venmo for bones. And your other host, Shane.
Hey, I thought we talked to you. You're going to start taking Zelle. Like, what are we doing here, pal?
Can you Zell bones?
Sure.
Then I will accept Zelle. But I will not accept PayPal. They take too many of my bones as part of the transaction fee. I don't care for it. All right, well, wait, what's the thing we say for this season?
Gourds out, hordes out.
Gourds out, hordes out. Spookabop. Ooh.
All right. Thanks, Dave. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, well, that's it then. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Okay.
He thought he was in control. How wrong he was.
Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club. From Dynamis Media comes a horror cyclopedia, watching movies from the gates of hell, covers ripped from a blockbuster shell. Officer Bosch is the only good cop. Chuds and the stuff just can't be stopped. Things get hairy and the werewolf's there. Turn the corner and the prowler is there. It's the dark side drive-in. It's the dark side drive-in. Come to the dark side drive-in. It's the dark side drive-in movie club. Shane's the one who runs the show. He produces and keeps the flow. The Savini of the ones and twos. Only Jack Cordell has bigger shoes. Stefan does the bulk of the research. His descriptions just can't be besmirched. Lots of synopses are the top of lore. Just like Lamson, you'll be begging for more. It's the dark side drive-in. It's the dark side drive-in. Come to the dark side drive-in. It's the dark side drive-in movie club.
From the deepest corner of the darkest universe, Two brave hosts battle through nameless hordes of ghoulish monsters most foul, all to bring you the eternal glory of the Dark Side Drive-In.
It's the Dark Side Drive-In. It's the Dark Side Drive-In. Come to the Dark Side Drive-In. It's the Dark Side Drive-In Movie Club. It's the Dark Side Drive-In. Come to the Dark Side Drive-In. It's the Dark Side Drive-In. It's the Dark Side Drive-In Movie Club.